But first, it's time for the big number. Over 50%. That's the percentage of respondents in Giving Tuesday's quarterly Giving Pulse survey of generous individuals who've indicated that they're giving back locally versus national or international causes. Now, there's well documented research on the importance of locality in giving behavior. In a 2015 edition of Volantis, the International Journal of Voluntary and Nonprofit Organizations, an article by Rebecca Nesbitt outlined the influence of how long a donor has resided in their community around the donation choices that they may be making. It summarizes previous academic research by stating that when one donates, where one donates has been empirically linked to where one lives in relation to the recipient's nonprofit. The greatest portion of giving takes place within a donor's own community and helps support activities in which the donor is directly involved. Suburbanites tended to support the creation of new nonprofits in their local community instead of continuing to give to similar causes that they used to support when living in an urban environment. And geographic proximity to a disaster increased the likelihood of individuals contributing to disaster relief appeals. Now, there's also research that indicates the longer somebody lives in a community, they may be more likely to give to arts and human service organizations where they live. So, let's take a quick gut check with you, our live audience. Here's a question for you. What's the importance of your location when it comes to how people may support you? Does it matter to them? So let's check the comments. Hello, hello. What a trapper keeper. I didn't know they made those anymore. Yes, they do, Vanessa. Make sure I can see the comments here. Welcome to Rhonda. Earth Gives. Hello, hello. In general, we've discussed the importance of identity when it comes to motivational behaviors in the generosity experience in previous episodes, but we're going to take a little bit extra care and attention to location in today's episode. So I'll continue to look for those comments. But in order to unpack this a little bit further, we're going to be focused on the concept of community giving days. And thank you, Emily, for sharing your thoughts on this topic. But before I dive in too deeply, I want to help define this for those who are either unfamiliar with or maybe have a misconception of what I'm actually talking about when it comes to giving days. First, let's make it clear that I'm talking about something that goes beyond one singular nonprofit. So, for the purpose of this episode, we're not touching anything like a university's giving day. This means that it needs to be a collective giving moment that impacts more than one nonprofit at a time with its effort and impact. Second, this also there needs to be some guiding force behind it. A decentralized movement like Giving Tuesday is certainly a big giving moment that people may join in, but there isn't a dedicated organization who's driving all the logistics. As we'll touch on in this episode with our guest, Cat Murphy Toms, they're not the same thing. This means that a host is organizing the space for people to find different causes that they care about, but this is still curated by the host as opposed to allowing anybody to join. So I've established what a community giving day isn't. Let's define what it actually is. Definition: Giving Day, an online fundraising event that unites a community or cause group and has a central host entity coordinating the logistics of giving and investing time and resources into drawing in people to participate. Beneficiaries are nonprofits that are connected to the host in some way. Now, what's important, most important about a giving day is that the very definition of the peak end rule is applied to the generosity experience at scale. We remember a memory or a judge of an experience based on how we felt at our peak moments, as well as how they felt at the end. This is how people generally assess their feelings when it comes to the generosity experience. Now, during this process, be it online or through other means like direct mail, there will be a period where you can either capture the donor's attention and convert it into a gift, or the experience will frustrate them and they're going to move on to something else. Moments like a community giving day are strategically designed to capture attention, break through the noise around the donor's world, not focused on generosity, and give opportunities to activate identity centric giving. Unlike nonprofits attempting to do this on their own, the power of a giving day is that they're designed to give small to mid sized nonprofits in particular special marketing awareness advantages otherwise not available to them. With many of the clients that we work with, these days are usually held during off periods in the annual calendar, such as during the spring or early autumn months. These events can provide exposure to causes that donors may not even be aware of. This occurs through the directories that are part of giving days, dedicated spotlights as part of awareness building, or even live stream interviews with nonprofits during the day. This last one in particular is what we'll geek out about with Chris Strub later in the episode. The concept itself, especially when applied to local communities, is relatively new compared to more traditional methods like the United Way's employee giving programming. Initially funded by the Knight Foundation and other institutions, the idea was to democratize philanthropy and build capacity through digital fundraising. North Texas Giving Day, Colorado Gives, and Give Minnesota were some of the first giving days founded that are still active today. By 2010, there was a massive expansion of local days sprouting up around the country. Many of these were started and maintained by a local community foundation or the state's nonprofit association. They varied in their size, effectiveness, and impact, but the core idea stayed the same. All of this changed when in 2016, Austin based nonprofit tech company Kimbia experienced a major technical slowdown that impacted over 12,000 nonprofits across multiple giving days happening at one time. At this point in time, there's only a handful of platforms now that support these types of events due to the complexity and requirements of the different participants. In 2020, the entire Giving Day landscape changed again as COVID 19 set in just as the spring Giving Day season kicked off. Every nonprofit was affected in one way or another by the immediate effects of the pandemic, which Giving Days in April and early May forced to make dramatic pivots to continue their operations. Now, in a post pandemic era, there's a lot of questions around the Giving Day space. Many communities whose Giving Days survived the pandemic are seeing record fundraising totals this spring, sparking a continued interest across the country in launching new Giving Days that can benefit from the lessons learned from 15 years of experimentation and growth. So, whether there is already a Giving Day in your community, or today's episode sparks a broader conversation with your community about launching one later this year or into 2025, let's break down the different roles everyone plays when it comes to a successful event. First, hosts need to be able to manage the website where people go to learn about the day, promote the day, and give support to nonprofits participating and ensure the contributions are delivered in a timely manner to recipients. Then you also need nonprofits. They need to be able to manage their profile in the directory that's built into the Giving Day website. They have different storytelling and engagement elements as part of the page, such as personalized giving levels specific to their mission. Donors need to be able to give quickly and in ways that they want to give. Some of the more sophisticated offerings include donor advised funds and peer to peer fundraising as part of the event. And finally, sponsors and other strategic business partners need to have their brand well represented, including logo placement and special engagement elements like matching gift hours brought to life by the event itself. What I'm most excited about to talk to you today is the massive opportunity our sector has to reconceptualize these events in the generosity experience at scale. While I personally have been a massive supporter of Giving Days, I also feel that there's some major changes that need to be made in order to best support the communities that want to put on a Giving Day. Heavier investments into training, storytelling, and donor engagement beyond the day itself are critical, while the new supporter possibilities are huge with Giving Days. with new donor acquisition sometimes as high as 90% with nonprofits involved in the day. We also know that new donor retention across the sector is 18% at best. Many hosts are so overwhelmed with managing the day's logistics that helping nonprofits connect the dots into a larger strategy is difficult to prioritize. So that's why I'm excited about our first guest, Kat Murphy-Toms, one of the most foremost experts on collective giving moments in the world.
Thanks for watching Neon One on YouTube. Subscribe to keep up with all our upcoming videos, and check out another video right here.